Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we cut through the noise and get to the heart of what you need to know. Today, we're diving into a topic that many consider a superpower in our modern world: critical thinking. Think about it in an age where information is just a click away, and technology handles so much for us it's incredibly easy to access data. But this convenience can sometimes make us less discerning. We often find ourselves just, accepting information without really assessing its validity, or picking the most popular solution without truly analyzing the pros and cons, and honestly, that can feel pretty disempowering.
It absolutely can feel that way. Our mission in this deep dive is to explore Patrik Ian Meyer's The Four Pillars of Critical Thinking. We want to empower you to show you how to really evaluate information, analyze facts, interpret data, and develop your own insights, rather than just absorbing what others tell you. This skill isn't just nice to have, it's crucial. It helps you assess different perspectives, weigh evidence, and investigate arguments, all leading to truly informed decisions. Plus, a huge benefit is that it encourages mindfulness of our own biases, which is, well, a total game changer for clarity.
Okay, let's unpack this. What exactly is critical thinking? I mean, we all think, right? But what makes it critical?
That's a great distinction. At its core, critical thinking is about deliberately and thoughtfully breaking down information, evaluating it, and putting the pieces together from different sources to figure things out and solve problems. Meyer, building on Halpern's work, essentially says it involves four key moves. Analysis, which is pulling ideas apart into their smaller components. Synthesis, combining related information to see the bigger picture. Judgment, where you form your own smart opinion based on that analysis and synthesis. And then finally, decision-making, choosing the best course of action.
So it's more than just being smart then. It's about a specific process of thinking.
Exactly. It's a specific active process.
And why is this skill so incredibly important right now? It feels like it's never been more vital.
You're right about its current importance. Critical thinking actively combats the sheer information overload we face daily, and what Meyer calls a culture of convenience. Without it, our ability to analyze deeply and make thoughtful decisions really decreases, potentially leading to misinformed opinions and even, well, dangerous actions. But it's not just about avoiding pitfalls. It also fosters creative thinking and helps us see the bigger picture, which can lead to more sustainable and impactful change in our lives and work.
That makes perfect sense. So how does this critical way of thinking stand apart from other ways our minds work? Because we're always thinking, but not always critically.
Good point. Meyer contrasts it with what he calls uncritical thinking, which is essentially believing something without solid evidence, relying purely on instinct, raw emotion, or even prejudice. Then there's reactive thinking, which involves quick, unplanned decisions focused on immediate needs without deep evaluation, sort of firefighting. Critical thinking, on the other hand, is a systematic, evidence-based approach. It applies rigorous standards for assessing the quality of evidence, making it a much more robust and reliable way to navigate complex situations. It's about taking that extra moment to truly consider.
So what does this all mean for us in the real world? What are the tangible benefits that critical thinking brings to our lives?
Oh, the benefits are incredibly widespread and impactful. In the professional world, for instance, think about the leader who makes a decision that feels right in the moment.
Yeah, the gut feeling.
Exactly, the gut feeling. But then it falls apart a month later. Critical thinking is the superpower that lets leaders see beyond the immediate, identifying those hidden pitfalls and building strategies that truly last. It's not just about solving problems, it's about preventing them and uncovering innovative solutions. On a personal level, particularly in our relationships, critical thinking promotes clear communication. It helps us examine our own ideas and values, fostering a better understanding of both our needs and those of others. It reduces conflict by encouraging us to explore how different perspectives can be mutually beneficial, leading to healthier boundaries and deeper connections.
That's a powerful argument for truly understanding ourselves and others. Now that we understand the foundation, let's dive into the actual process. How do we put critical thinking into action?
Right. Pillar 2 focuses on just that. The systematic process is to discern and evaluate situations so you can reach informed conclusions. It's the how-to guide, really.
The first step is often knowing what problem you're truly trying to solve, which can be harder than it sounds.
It really can. It begins with a systematic approach to identifying the problem. You need to gather and analyze as much information as possible through conversations, observation, even simple surveys to frame the problem concretely. Meyer emphasizes asking what is happening to define the issue, and then, crucially, why is this happening, to get to its root cause. You want to define the problem with clear, measurable objectives. Think about key questions like, what exactly is the issue? What caused it? What are the ripple effects? Who's impacted? What are the barriers to a solution? What resources do we have, and what are our options?
Okay. Once we know the problem, how do we gather information and assess its quality? Because information is everywhere now, isn't it?
Absolutely. So much noise. This moves us into research, opinions, and arguments. You start by identifying reliable sources. These fall into primary like direct records, original research findings, diaries, or first-hand interviews, and secondary sources, which are interpretations of primary ones like books, journal articles, or documentaries. The key is that quality sources are reliable, accurate, objective, current, and transparent.
Transparent meaning you can see who wrote it, their credentials.
Exactly. You need to know who's behind the information. You evaluate a source by its reliability, things like peer review status, completeness, and how recent it is, and its relevance, meaning it directly pertains to your topic and offers well-referenced expert insights.
So once we've gathered all this information, the real art begins.
Yeah.
How do we critically dissect the arguments we encounter?
That's the core of analyzing arguments. Argumentation involves identifying, analyzing, and evaluating evidence to construct sound arguments and reach conclusions. Arguments consist of premises, which are the evidence or reasons presented, and a conclusion, which is the logical result. A critical part of this is also recognizing the subconscious biases and assumptions embedded within those arguments.
Both from others and, I guess, our own thinking, too.
Oh, absolutely. Our own biases are often the hardest to spot.
This sounds like a critical step to ensure objectivity. What exactly are assumptions and biases, and where do they typically show up?
Well, assumptions and biases are subconscious beliefs, expectations, and theories that influence our conclusions, often without a logical basis. They are a natural part of human thought, you know?
Hmm.
So awareness is key. Not necessarily total elimination, they show up everywhere. For example, confirmation bias isn't just focusing on information that reinforces your existing beliefs. It's why you might only follow news sources that agree with your political views, solidifying your echo chamber.
Right, you only see what you already believe.
Precisely. The halo effect isn't just favorable assessments based on a single trait. It's why we might assume someone well-dressed is also inherently more intelligent or trustworthy. Status quo bias is the disposition to pick the current familiar state simply because it's what we know, resisting change, even if a new way is better.
Comfort zone thinking.
Kind of, yeah. The availability heuristic leads us to overestimate the probability of easily accessible or memorable events, like fearing plane crashes more than car accidents because they get more media attention, they stick in your mind. And the fundamental attribution error means overestimating internal dispositions while underestimating external factors in others' behavior, like assuming a colleague is lazy when they might just be completely overwhelmed.
Wow, those examples really hit home. Okay,
Yeah.
so what does this all mean for avoiding these pitfalls in our own thinking? How do we manage them?
Meyer offers several techniques. First, become fully engaged. Actively listen, really listen, consider all sides of an issue, and ponder solutions without jumping to immediate conclusions. Second, practice reflection. Critically analyze your personal beliefs, values, and assumptions. Try to identify those implicit beliefs that might be swaying you. Third, actively question ideas. Reconsider your assumptions, analyze the evidence, deliberately consider different perspectives, and focus on evidence validity, even accepting that your own assumptions might be wrong. That's a big one.
Yeah, being okay with being wrong. Humility.
Exactly. Which leads to the fourth point. Exercise humility. Step back. Look at your conclusions objectively, consider different views, and recognize the limits of your own knowledge. Seek feedback. Think about a teacher named Jane who was frustrated with a student. John, assuming he was just acting out, but by stepping back, practicing humility, she spoke to him calmly and learned he was actually overwhelmed with schoolwork. Her humility led to a better understanding and a much better solution for both of them.
That's a great example of humility transforming a situation. Okay, so beyond the arguments themselves, how do we assess the actual data we collect?
Right, the data. This is data evaluation, which involves assessing the significance and relevance of your collected evidence. It ensures accuracy, reliability, and validity, preventing incorrect assumptions down the line. Data reliability hinges on accuracy, consistency, representativeness, consistent methods, comprehensiveness, unbiased sources, and security. Significance and relevance mean the data has validity and a direct impact on the issue you're trying to solve. For instance, reliable sources often include peer-reviewed literature and government documents.
Generally more convincing than, say, comments on a public forum.
Generally, yes, though sometimes those forums can point you towards issues to investigate. When weighing competing evidence, you need an open mind. Evaluate multiple pieces of evidence, striving to be objective, logical, and impartial. Consider each piece on its own merit and in relation to others, always being aware of potential biases in the data collection itself. How is it gathered? By whom? Sometimes people try to formalize how we weigh evidence, like with something called Bayes' theorem. In essence, it's a mathematical way to calculate how likely something is to be true based on new evidence. It's powerful and feels like statistics, sure, but for everyday critical thinking, it can be tricky.
How so?
Well, real life rarely gives us all the perfect data points or the neat assumptions that the theorem requires. The most reasonable outcome often involves a lot of human judgment, not just a straight probability calculation.
So it's a great mathematical tool, but
Uh,
perhaps less practical when you're trying to decide, say, if your neighbor's excuse for a loud party holds up.
It's exactly. Or deciding which candidate's economic plan makes more sense. Similarly, there's the Dempster-Shafer theory of evidence, which tries to combine evidence from multiple sources by assigning a degree of belief. It aims for precision, but in practice, it can get very complex, especially when you have conflicting information or new evidence constantly emerging. The key takeaway from these advanced methods isn't necessarily to master them for daily use, but to understand that even the most rigorous frameworks have limitations when facing the messy, human reality of critical thinking. They show that weighing evidence is often more art than pure science.
That makes sense. It's not just plugging numbers into a formula. So after all that deep analysis, the sources, the arguments, the biases, the data, how do we finally arrive at a logical conclusion or a viable solution?
That's the core objective, right? Getting somewhere useful. It involves synthesizing and re-examining all the information you've gathered in light of new evidence, ensuring your conclusions are logical and consistent with your initial objectives. What were you trying to solve in the first place? Several factors influence how effectively we generate solutions. Your existing knowledge and experience, obviously. Your mindset, an optimistic mindset, for instance, tends to be better at seeing possibilities. And crucially, diverse perspectives, getting input from others, and your motivation to actually find a solution.
Okay, so what are the stages Meyer outlines for getting to that solution?
He outlines 4 key stages. First, identifying the problem, really breaking it down into components. For example, if there's litter in a park, you're not just seeing trash, you're asking why there are bins full. Is it specific events, a lack of awareness? You dig deeper. Second, defining objectives, setting clear, measurable goals for the desired outcome. For a company, it's not just more efficient, but maybe reducing waste by 10% within 6 months, something concrete.
Measurable, right.
Exactly. Third, investigating possible solutions. This is where you brainstorm every plausible option, conduct targeted research, maybe literature analysis or stakeholder interviews there, and then analyze the real-world pros and cons of each option. Imagine a company needing to reduce costs. They'd evaluate cutting salaries, increasing product prices, or developing new products, looking for the highest success potential with minimal risk. Finally, finalizing solutions. You pick the most suitable path based on your analysis, acquire necessary materials or resources, create a detailed implementation plan, and proactively anticipate any potential roadblocks or risks to ensure success. Think ahead.
This is a lot to process. It's clear that critical thinking is a skill, a really involved one. So how do we continuously get better at this superpower?
Yeah, it's definitely a practice. Pillar 3 is all about that, improving critical thinking skills. It focuses on refining our thought processes to make more reliable decisions and better assessments over time. It's about evaluating and refining ideas, challenging ourselves, and exploring new solutions, not just settling.
What's the role of looking inward, of self-reflection in this journey? Seems important.
Oh, self-reflection is absolutely key. It allows us to become aware of our own biases, challenge assumptions we didn't even know we had, and make conscious changes for the better. It directly improves decision-making, increases empathy because you're more aware of your own filters and how they affect your perception of others, and it boosts creativity. It helps us recognize those irrational thought patterns we all have sometimes, and allows for conscious choices aligning with our long-term goals. Key areas for self-reflection include logic and reasoning, actively identifying flaws in our own thinking patterns and improving those processes, and also awareness of biases, recognizing how our past experiences, culture, beliefs, upbringing, all of it influences our perceptions. This awareness then leads to more open-minded discussions because you understand where you are coming from, your starting point.
Let's just pause on that for a second. The idea of actively questioning your own assumptions, that's a tough one for many of us, isn't it? It requires a certain vulnerability.
It absolutely does require vulnerability, you're right. but it's so worth the effort.
So, how do different viewpoints contribute to better critical thinking? If we're challenging ourselves, we probably need outside input too.
Exactly. Diverse perspectives are crucial because they provide a variety of viewpoints and insights we simply can't generate on our own. They help us assess an issue from multiple angles and uncover deeper insights we might have missed otherwise. This naturally leads to more informed judgments and encourages a broader, more constructive dialogue. Without them, we're just stuck in our own echo chamber.
What are the common barriers to leveraging these diverse perspectives? Because it sounds easy, just listen to others, but it often isn't in practice.
You're right, it's challenging. Unfortunately, our own preconceived notions and biases act as mental filters. They impair our ability to truly hear and benefit from others' perspectives, often leading straight back to confirmation bias, where we only latch onto the parts that support our existing beliefs. And sometimes it's just a lack of recognition and acceptance that other perspectives can be valid even if they differ from ours. That can really stymie critical thinking because we just ignore or dismiss valuable insights out of hand.
So, how do we fight that? How do we incorporate diverse perspectives better?
Meyer emphasizes critical listening. This isn't just hearing. It means actively listening, evaluating ideas as they're presented without immediately judging, trying to avoid your own bias, clouding things, and asking open-ended questions to genuinely understand where the other person is coming from. Think about a student in a classroom debate on a difficult political issue. Critical listening enables them to gain deeper insights by understanding multiple viewpoints, the nuances, rather than just reacting defensively with their own preconceived notions. It's about understanding, not just waiting for your turn to speak or win.
Okay, we've built this powerful mental toolkit, foundation, process, improvement. Pillar 4 must be about putting it all to work, right? How do we truly bring these critical thinking concepts from theory into our messy everyday lives?
That's exactly it. Pillar 4 is application. It's about actively reaching reasonable solutions and rational decisions using the knowledge and skills from the first 3 pillars. Because, as Meyer points out, knowledge without application remains pretty useless theory, doesn't it? You've got to put that superpower to work. And you can apply critical thinking in so many areas. In health and wellness, for example, it means examining the evidence behind health claims, researching, evaluating sources, looking for contradictions rather than just blindly accepting a social media trend or celebrity endorsement. It also helps you develop individualized health plans tailored to your personal needs, considering your lifestyle, budget, resources, not some generic plan.
Makes sense. What about work?
In the workplace, it's vital for problem solving, analyzing information, weighing pros and cons, considering different stakeholder perspectives, like finding ways to reduce costs without adversely affecting employees or the quality of the product or service. It also fosters creativity, helping you develop innovative ideas, like a unique marketing strategy that comes from truly thinking outside the box, not just copying what competitors are doing.
And in education, beyond just the student learning it.
Yeah, in education, it's about how it's taught and used. Teachers can facilitate it by providing a wide range of resources. Textbooks, sure, but also online tools, historical documents, diverse articles, and engaging students in class discussions where they have to consider different perspectives on complex topics like, say, the pros and cons of decriminalizing certain drugs. Students also apply it in essays and assignments through systematic thought processes and building logically reasoned arguments that go beyond just summarizing information.
What about something really practical like personal finance?
Oh, definitely. In personal finance, it's crucial for making purchase decisions, asking yourself, why do I really need this? What are the long-term benefits or costs? How will this affect my finances overall? It helps when considering different types of investments, stocks, bonds, REITs, ETFs, whatever, evaluating their cost, risk, and potential return with a data-driven approach. It's absolutely essential for developing a sound financial plan based on solid evidence and research, not just gut feelings or market hype.
Okay, this is all incredibly valuable. For anyone listening who wants to start building the superpower today, what are some practical exercises they can do? Where do we begin?
That's a great question because critical thinking is definitely a skill developed over time through consistent practice. It's like a muscle. Meyer offers several great exercises. First, reading critically. This isn't just passive reading. It's actively analyzing, evaluating, and interpreting material more deeply. You look at gaps, inconsistencies, potential errors in logic. Ask yourself, what assumptions is the author making here? And what evidence are they actually relying on? Is it strong? Staying current on news in your field of interest or just world events and using multiple sources to facilitate discussions can greatly enhance your logic and reasoning skills.
So engaging more actively with what we read. What else?
Second, participating in discussions or debates. This forces you to think creatively and critically, often on your feet, while expanding your knowledge base. It requires analyzing information quickly, evaluating arguments, recognizing others' positions accurately, and exploring topics from multiple perspectives. Technology, things like Reddit, maybe Twitter, message boards, and importantly, fact-checking websites make it easier to engage globally and try to ensure discussions are fact-based. The key, though, is to remain civil, respectful, and focused on the ideas, not resorting to personal attacks. That shuts down critical thinking fast.
Good point. Civility is key. Any other exercises?
Yes. Third, solving practical problems. This enhances critical thinking by requiring you to take a logical perspective, understand causal factors, and evaluate data to find reasonable solutions. Think about everyday things like troubleshooting a car that won't start. You'd systematically analyze the battery, the wiring, the fuel system to narrow down the cause. Or even, as Meyer mentions, assembling IKEA furniture, studying the diagrams, picturing how the pieces fit, understanding the instructions. It's all practical problem-solving practice. The core across all these is to actively question information, asking why and how, and to seek out new sources or perspectives when you get stuck.
We've taken a really deep dive into Patrik Ian Meyer's The Four Pillars of Critical Thinking, uncovering the incredible power of foundation, process, improvement, and application. It's clear that critical thinking isn't just a nice-to-have skill, it's truly essential for navigating our complex world and making genuinely informed choices.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And remember, you have the power to shape your thought processes and ultimately a better future for yourself and potentially others too. While not everyone will achieve the same level, maybe, of critical thinking proficiency, everyone has the potential to improve, to fight their own biases, and grow in self-awareness and reflection. Applying these concepts daily, even in small ways, is truly crucial for personal growth.
Ultimately, critical thinking feels like it's about more than just finding solutions to big problems. It's about seeing the world through a clearer, more discerning lens, allowing you to pick up on even the smallest details, extracting meaning, maybe even joy and fulfillment from the seemingly mundane, and finding depth and nuance in the ordinary. So the next time you face even what seems like a simple decision, what different angles will you analyze, and what hidden weight, what deeper implications will you discover in your choice?